Most people that choose to be entrepreneurs carry around a lot of trauma with them. That's why they're entrepreneurial. They refuse to allow other people to control them, a lot of times because they're bullied and picked on and beat up and passed over, and they're sick and tired of being out of control in so many other areas of their life that they grab onto this business because they can control that. You can be a great significant other, the world-class dad, dominating business, be spiritually connected, be in the best shape of your life. And if you think that you can't balance all those things, that's a lie. You absolutely can. You just have to be insanely hyper-intentional about doing it, and you have to get out of your own way. That was the big thing. I could not give my family, my friends, my business partners, anybody I did a deal with, my students, or myself, the unconditional love that I needed because I didn't have it within me. You cannot give what you do not have. My mentor used to always say, in real estate, you're never going to have a money problem. You'll only have a creativity problem, which I always thought was very wise advice because so many times we work so hard as an investor to get a deal or get an opportunity to do a deal, but then we don't know how to structure it. They're not just going to find you. You got to be loud. You got to go out there and make noise. Money doesn't flow to negative voids in the universe. It goes to where the attention is, where the activity is, right? It wants to multiply. Money loves speed. It wants to go fast. Elon Musk says the greatest thing. He says, being an entrepreneur is like standing on the edge of a cliff, about to fall off the edge into the abyss while chewing glass. But that's literally what we do. So if anybody is out there struggling, maybe you're doing some yellow light shit, red light shit, you got some of those demons that are kind of just weighing you down, you know you're out of alignment, you know you're addicted to gambling, you're addicted to alcohol, you're addicted to those vices, porn, whatever it is. The fastest way for you to break free from that weight that is causing you to and limiting you from stepping into your full potential, first thing that you got to do is just
This is the Mr. Burr Show.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today, I am excited to have on someone who doesn't really even need an introduction. He's like the OG of building a brand. You guys have probably seen him everywhere across YouTube, Instagram, you name it. The Clever Investor. Incredible what he's done in 20 years in the real estate space, from flips to developments to wholesaling, education. The man actually started out wanting to be a teacher. So the fact that he gets into education is incredible. Helping other people. I'm a firm believer the more people you help, the more money you make. So this man is a testament of it. And it is with my pleasure to introduce, if you don't know him already, I'm sure you do, Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor. Thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Thanks for having me on, dude. Appreciate it.
Of course. How did you get that name, the Clever Investor? How did that happen?
People started calling me that around town. A lot of my mentors were kind of old school guys, Jack Miller, John Shaw, Pete Fortunato. You guys probably don't know who any of these people are. These were some of the most creative real estate investors in the country that they called themselves transactional engineers. They never did a simple deal. It was always like the most intricate, complicated financial engineering of a deal that you could possibly do because they hated to leave money on the table. They hated to pay taxes. They wanted to maximize profits on everything they could. And they were just really, really savvy with the way they did things. And so I always approached it with that mindset of being very creative. My mentor used to always say, in real estate, you're never going to have a money problem. You'll only have a creativity problem, which I always thought was very wise advice because so many times we work so hard as an investor to get a deal or get an opportunity to do a deal, but then we don't know how to structure it. We leave money on the table or we can't figure out how to pull the deal together, and then that opportunity goes somewhere else, and then somebody else with more skills and capabilities pulls it together. And so I was always like just fanatical about figuring that out. So the reputation around town people started calling me very clever. And then my ex-wife, one day, I said, I want to start a new company. And she goes, well, you're a clever investor. You'll figure it out. And so it all just kind of clicked. I said, well, people are calling me clever. She said I'm a clever investor. And then boom, it just kind of came together. And I think anytime you're branding yourself, I took it to the next level. Once I kind of started identifying as a clever investor, it was my It was the way I started every video. It was the way I signed up every video, every podcast, everything that I do. I'm always Cody Sperber, clever investor here. And people will not remember Cody, Tom, John, Sarah, whatever. But if you're Big John from Texas and you're an oversized guy and you wear a cowboy hat, they're going to remember Big John from Texas. So,
right.
The clever investor was born and we're running with it.
I love it. If you guys think about it, in my opinion, a brand is the most important thing you can do, because think about, like, what do you clean your ears with? Most people say that's a Q-tip, right? The Q-tip is the brand. It's a cotton swab, right? So, but they've made it to where they're synonymous because they've built the brand so much. And when you go make a copy, do you make a Xerox, or do you make a copy? People say a Xerox, because that's the brand. So, dude, I love what you've done and how you've built it. And it was 20 years ago, before like all the gurus were on social media. So how did you build a brand back then without all the technology that's around now with AI and all that?
I think it was just intuitive in me. I'm a marketer at heart. I believe because I'm the first millionaire, multi-millionaire in my family, I didn't ever think that I'd be able to make this much money. I was either going to be a history teacher or maybe a marine biologist, something like that. And then I stumble into real estate and it changes my life. Mm-hmm. I start making money. I get out of poverty. I am able to retire my parents. I'm able to, work for myself, buy all this nice stuff, start businesses, scale businesses. It changed the trajectory of not just my life, but generationally. Because of creative real estate, my kids and their kids are going to be set up on a much better foundation than I was. And so when you're in love with something like real estate, like I am, I'm not one of those house guys that does real estate just to make money. I genuinely love this business. I think about real estate all the time. I dream about it. I talk about it. It's in my DNA. And I actually did when my mom passed away, I inherited like this giant book that my mom put together of my genealogy. And my great grandpa was a massive real estate investor, and I never knew it.
Really?
So yeah, it was kind of cool to see, like, occupation, real estate investor. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like, we would have had a lot in common. And so when something changes your life like this, I believe that it's your obligation to share it with others. I am always the loudest cheerleader in my world. And I want everybody to get on board with this amazing thing that can change their lives too. And I believe that success and marketing is your obligation. It's not an option. If you build a website, nobody's going to come to that website. If you start a business, nobody's going to come give you money and just, they're not just going to find you. You got to be loud. You got to go out there and make noise. Money doesn't flow to negative voids in the universe. It goes to where the attention is, where the activity is, right? It wants to multiply. Money loves speed. It wants to go fast. And so you got to be the loudest cheerleader in your world. And if your thing changed your life, why would you not be the most passionate marketer on the planet to get everybody else on board with it?
100%. I forget where I heard this from, but it was someone said, money's kind of like women. If you stop giving women attention, they're going to go look for attention somewhere else, right? So it's with money, you have to give it attention. You have to talk about it often. You have to give it a lot of your energy for it to stay around and multiply. So I agree, man. You got to be loud about what you're doing. And if it's helping you, it'll help other people, right? So I love it, man. The clever investor. I know that something has changed in the last couple of years. I know a little bit about your story, where the last couple of years you had kind of your rock bottom moment. I mean, most people from the outside in, they're seeing multi-millionaire on top of the world, but you were in a dark place. Let's talk about that a little bit. What happened a couple of years ago?
Well, we all go through ups and downs. If you're going to be in business, you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to deal with a lot of shit along the way. A lot of times people just don't show that on social media. They show their highlight reel. I've never been that way. I've always been so raw and authentic and out there. And, I might not be the most popular person, but I'm definitely the most authentic and real about my journey. I've never hid anything, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And I've always shared, getting sued or suing somebody or getting stuck in a bad deal or, having a partnership fall apart. It just so happened, though, as I was building my business and dealing with challenge after challenge and upgrading my challenges, I hit, you hit this level of success where it starts to get harder to publicly like put yourself out there because everybody thinks like you're the man now, right? Like you don't have problems. But I found myself a couple years ago just feeling really stuck, unhappy, out of alignment. I was lying a lot. I was not happy in my marriage. I wasn't being a very good dad. Business was good. I was making a lot of money, but even that was, I wasn't able to give it everything I got because I just wasn't in alignment. I think alignment is the word that people can relate to, because even though I was making a lot of money, I was spiritually unfulfilled. I was emotionally unfulfilled. I wasn't connected intimately with my spouse. I wasn't a good dad. My health was all out of whack. I was gaining all kinds of weight. And so right around the time that I was contemplating wanting to, kind of sit my family down and let them know, like, I'm unhappy and I think I want out of the marriage, my mom passed away from cancer. So it was like this kind of 1-2 punch where like everything in my life was kind of like colliding. And I end up losing my mom to leukemia, which was really, really hard. She passed away in my arms. Anybody who's ever lost anybody knows that's like the most tragic thing that you can ever go through. And at the same time, I let my family know that I was wanting a divorce and I wanted out of the marriage. So it was like rock bottom's basement kind of moment. And it was a great opportunity for me to kind of recalibrate and realign back to who do I want to be? I'm 40, at the time I was 44, but I'm 46 now. And it was like, the question was like, who do I want to be in the second half of my life? How do I want to show up? Is it just Lamborghinis, money, mansions, lifestyle, being this big real estate educator? I had the #1 real estate education company in the country. We had 100,000 plus students come through our program. A lot of your favorite gurus are my students. And it was like, is that what I'm known for? I'm a real estate guru, educator that has nice shit, And I didn't relate to that anymore. I was at a part in my journey where I was ready for the next level. And so I made a decision in that moment that I was going to go upstream. I was going to do something I should have done 10 years before that. And that's really put in the therapeutic work to heal a lot of my inner child trauma that I've been carrying around my whole life. Most people that choose to be entrepreneurs carry around a lot of trauma with them. That's why they're entrepreneurial. They refuse to allow other people to control them, a lot of times because they're bullied and picked on and beat up and passed over, and they're sick and tired of being out of control in so many other areas of their life that they grab onto this business because they can control that. And that was me. My identity was making money and winning. But I really wasn't, though, because I wasn't winning on so many levels that are way more important than the money game. And so it was a great opportunity. It took me a year and a half going to therapy, very aggressive therapy. I did every type of therapeutic modality under the sun. My favorite was EMDR. And just through that process, kind of came out and I had so much clarity. First off, I let go of so many demons and just toxic thoughts. And I also had a lot of clarity on like who I wanted to be at this next level of my life. And it was like, I wanted to be a world-class dad. I wanted to be more spiritually connected than I have ever been. I knew there was something bigger out there for me, but I wasn't putting in the work to build a relationship with my creator. And I wanted to be in the best health of my life and have a a six-pack for the first time in my life and just be, like my friend Wes Watson says, ripped, rich, and rare. You know, I wanted that intersection between all of those things at once. And it can't happen. That's what's great. You can be a great significant other, the world-class dad, dominating business, be spiritually connected, be in the best shape of your life. And if you think that you can't balance all those things, that's a lie. You absolutely can. You just have to be insanely hyper-intentional about doing it, and you have to get out of your own way. That was the big thing. I could not give my family, my friends, my business partners, anybody I did a deal with, my students, or myself, the unconditional love that I needed because I didn't have it within me. You cannot give what you do not have. And that's the ultimate lesson I learned throughout the therapy. And it was the best move I ever made. So if anybody is out there struggling, maybe you're doing some yellow light shit, red light shit, you got some of those demons that are kind of just weighing you down. You know, you're out of alignment. You know, you're addicted to gambling. You're addicted to alcohol. You're addicted to those vices, porn, whatever it is. The fastest way for you to break free from that weight that is causing you to and limiting you from stepping into your full potential, the first thing that you got to do is just take extreme ownership that this thing is happening. You got to get so fucking authentic and real with yourself that you cannot control this, and then go seek professional help and start working through why you're making some of these choices that you're making. Because the you on the other end of that work is the person that you are going to be so excited to meet, that everybody needs. If you look at the world today right now, there's so much toxic energy out there. There's so much negativity. There's so much BS that the world needs leaders. They need the best version of you. And you can't give it to them because your daily habits, your thought processes, the way your lens, the way you look at the world is tainted. And until you fix you, you're not going to be able to show up in your full potential.
Dude, that is so good. So good. I actually got goosebumps a couple times there. I didn't know that your mother died in your arms.
Yeah.
Like that almost brought me to tears, man, because I'm a mama's boy, youngest of three. So the thought of that happening it hit me, man. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and opening up to my community. And there might be people out there that don't know that story whatsoever. So I've always learned that the more vulnerable you are, the more people connect with you, right?
Yeah.
They connect with the authentic version of you. And when they do that, you build your tribe. You build your people that really will follow you anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, incredible. You had mentioned the best therapy was, what was it?
EMDR. So like I did everything. I did talking therapy, one-on-one group, horse therapy. We did acting therapy, like where you literally dress up and act out your trauma. EMDR is actually a rapid eye movement. It's like you can use a light bar or buzzers, but essentially you're firing both sides of your brain at the same time, while a professional therapist is kind of walking you through this traumatic event. And it's designed to really lower the response that your body gives a tragic moment. So let's take my mom passing away. You just do what you got to do in the moment, right? It's like my dad's crying. My mom is writhing in pain. The smell of death is in the air. Like everything about it is like the worst of the worst that you can imagine. Like she looks awful. She doesn't even look like your mom anymore. Like it looks like death. And your dad's crying and you have to, and you're up for, death doesn't happen fast. It takes a long time. You think like they're just going to like take a breath and then they're done. No, it took weeks of her going downhill. In the last 72 hours, 3-4 full days of the most intense pain that a person goes through. And you're giving them lorazepam and morphine and all this stuff to try and like just make them as comfortable as you can. I'm reading Bible passages. My dad's crying in the corner, like the visual, the smell, everything. After it, and you just go into autopilot to get it done. And my brother had COVID at the time. So he was like struggling, like when to come over. Like the whole thing was a shit show. After that is done, now you're just left with this trauma, right? So now a sound, a music, a commercial, a smell, a thought just would send me into like level 8 crying, like I'm just a mess, right? How do you take that down to like where I can now sit here and talk about my mom and not think about that as a negative thing, but think about it as a beautiful thing that I was able to help my family through this experience and then remember all the best parts of my mom, right? How do you go from a level 10 or a level 8 of trauma to a 0? The EMDR goes way upstream and reconnects those memories to something better and allows it to go down to that 0. And it takes a few sessions, but if anybody's ever been through anything super traumatic, you don't even realize that that shit you dealt with in your childhood is the reason you make decisions the way you do today. And my ability to hurt people or to, like a psychopath, do something and then bury it, and like it almost was like I was like Dexter. I was able to like commit like the worst thing and then bury it like it never happened. I could do anything and bury it and compartmentalize. And I didn't want to do that. You know, I wanted to be able to cry. I hadn't cried before my mom passed away. I hadn't cried in about a decade.
Wow.
Never once. It was not, I couldn't connect to that. I had become a warrior. Like my whole existence was winning in business. And when you're in business, there's so much, like Elon Musk says the greatest thing. He says, being an entrepreneur is like standing on the edge of a cliff, about to fall off the edge into the abyss while chewing glass. But that's literally what we do, because when you're the owner of a business, you never get to just enjoy the best parts of your business.
Right.
Your only job is to be the biggest firefighter in your company and go from problem to problem to problem and put them out, because you're paying people to deal with them. And if they deal with the good shit, then you never really hear about it. It's like, oh, good, I pay you for that. We're good. They only bring you the worst of the worst of the worst. And so you jump from problem to problem to problem for 20 years. You go into like this mode where you're like, bring on all the fucking problems. I can take on anything. I'm emotionless almost. Like it no longer connected, and you just toughen up.
You became the Terminator.
Yeah, but the problem with the Terminator is you terminate your family.
Yeah.
Right? You come home and you're still that warrior. You're still that asshole. You're not connected. You're not present. I completely fucked my marriage up because I was not present at all. You know, I thought I was I was a phenomenal provider. I was an okay protector, and I was the world's worst person being present. I didn't understand her love language. I didn't care about her love language. We were good friends. The intimacy was completely dead. I allowed it to stay dead. We were like two friends that just went like this over a long period of time raising kids. And then one day I look up and I'm like, oh, you're on the other side of a canyon. And I don't even care to try to figure out how to get it back because I was so dead inside. And I made a decision when I was going through all that therapy that I wanted to be connected to myself way more, my creator way more. And when I get into a new relationship, I now operate with a totally different download. Like the way I think about it, like I approach my relationship like I approach my business. I'm like playing the Super Bowl every single day. I'm trying to win that day. I'm trying to impress her. I'm trying to be the best provider, the best protector, the most present. I'm trying to date as hard as I possibly can. I envision that at the end of every single day, she gets to watch the movie of my day, and she gets to see my inner thoughts, all of my DMs, all my private emails. She gets to see the conversations I have with my boys, you know, my guy friends, and she gets to watch that movie at the end of every day. And if she watches that and she says, God, I love this man. I love this man more now that I watch this movie than before. Or if she says, I'm proud of this man. I'm more proud now than before I watched this movie. Then I know I won the day. And when you approach a relationship like that, even though we still fight, even though we still have normal human shit, I'm winning that relationship. Like there's very little chance of this thing failing because I'm showing up like that. And as long as she shows up that way and I show up that way, we're gonna win.
That's usually the thing, is if you show up that way, it's the law of reciprocity, right? She's probably feeling like she's to show up in that way because you're doing it. So many times it's like, what have you done for me? What have you done for me? What have you done for me? No. What have you done for them? Be the one that starts it out. So I love it. I think that Dean Graziosi talks about that, right? Like
he is the one who he was one of the first people to call me when I was just public about going through a divorce.
Really?
And he gave me some of the best advice. And that was one of the pieces of advice he gave. The other thing he said was, Cody, it's different. When I got with Shannon, my ex, I was a broke kid, just trying to figure it all out. Now I'm rich. I have assets. I have money. I have Lamborghinis. I have anything I want, right? Who are you going to be now that you're single? Are you going to be that guy that takes all your money and flaunts it around and goes to Scottsdale and goes partying and gets blasted and starts, hooking up with girl after girl after girl, just, being free?
Because
right?
You can.
Yeah, because you can, and you have the resources to be able to do it. Or are you going to say to yourself, I want to become the most valuable man I can be? And a valuable man doesn't give his value away for free. And I said, Dean, fuck you, dude. Like, why would you tell me that? Like, I do not. This is so jacked. I've been in a relationship for 18 years. Can't I go party and just go crazy for a little bit? And he just kind of laughed and he said, dude, you just got a good choice of who you want to be. And it stuck with me. And as much as I wanted to go out there and rage and party and have some fun, I always heard Dean's little voice in the back of my head. And I pulled my shit together. And for a year, I was just going through therapy and doing all that stuff. Not really dating, not really putting myself out there. And then I meet Maria randomly, one day, and it was like instant. I knew instantly that we were going to be together. Yeah.
I love that. I can hear Dean's voice now because he's like very soft-spoken. Seems like the nicest guy ever. Funny story, actually. I used to work for a company of his back in the day, probably like 2008. It was called PMI, Private Marketing International or something like that. And it was to sell a program of his. It was for book sales. Like people would get up one of his books and then we'd call him trying to sell one of his coaching programs. So I met him in person once or twice at the office out here in Scottsdale. But too funny. I can like hear his voice right now telling you this stuff. So he seems like an awesome dude.
Yeah, he's world-class for sure. And he's one of those friends that like, we don't hang out all the time or anything like that. But whenever I have ever needed him, he always makes the call like right at that one moment where you just need to hear some of that wisdom. He's been that friend that just will pop up, hit you with the wisdom, and then tip out. And you're like, that's all I needed. Perfect.
Needed it.
Yeah.
I needed it. Awesome. Yeah, I've got a friend like that. You might know him. He's out here in Phoenix. His name's Templeton Walker.
Ah, fantastic human being.
I love Temp, man. He got me into real estate back in late 2019, and everything I did was with him, joint venturing at first, and we did probably 8 or 9 deals together, and I just learned kind of just under his tutorage or mentorship, and then went off on my own. But anytime I need somebody or need someone to like vent to, it's him, and then he just gives me just the best little nuggets of advice. And then same thing. We don't hang out all the time, but when we do, he's the homie.
Yeah, it makes sense. If I was a real estate agent / wanting to be an investor, make more money, Temp is who I would want to cozy up with, because he's a player that has figured out how to play the game at a high level and be a badass family man.
Right.
It's that walk in that line where you could be a badass at home and a badass in business. You're winning.
He's got like 6 kids. I don't even know how he does it.
Yep.
So you've got 2, right?
I've got 2 right now.
And what ages?
13 and 15.
Whoa, tough ages, man.
Oh, it's amazing. Unbelievable. Look, best thing to come out of my situation is I am the most connected dad I could ever be. When you put that energy in to your 13-year-old daughter or your 15-year-old son, it doesn't take long. It took me about 6 months to really connect with them, where to the point where now they're telling me secrets, they're calling me, they're texting me, they're asking for advice and all that stuff. They used to never do that because I was the dad that would show up, discipline them a little bit, go to sleep, wake up, go back to work, come home, discipline a little bit, hang out, play a little bit. Like, I was never going deep with them, you know? And the only time I would is like when we went on vacations and stuff. So now, that's one of the best things that ever came out of my situation. The second thing is I am probably a better ex-husband to my ex-wife than I was ever a husband to her. Like,
wow.
We are so tight, so close. We're badass co-parents. Like, kids are our number one thing. And you can tell the kids, from a psychological standpoint, going through a divorce, they're in a really great spot right now.
Good.
I think it's just because Shannon is such a world-class human, and how she treated the divorce made a big difference of the kids afterwards, you know?
Yeah, because they see that, especially at that age, they're soaking up everything, you know? And
that's another thing. If you're going through a divorce, just cut the check. Fuck these attorneys. The first thing I did, I was like, look, name your number. Even if it's not fair to me, I don't care. My peace of mind is way more important. Your safety is way more important than any amount of money. I know I'll go out there and make money again. In fact, if I have some friends going through nasty divorces right now. I'm like, my divorce was amazing. Like, amazing. You couldn't script out a better divorce.
Because you guys are both amicable on both sides.
More than amicable. We unconditionally care for each other in a way that shows every person. Like, she's now re-engaged. Her new boyfriend is amazing. He is head over heels in love with her. It's everything she deserves. I'm a super fan of the two of them. I'm like big cheerleader of them winning.
That's awesome.
He's great for my kids. And so when you approach the divorce like that, and I was just like, I'll rather give you the money than these stupid attorneys. I'll cut any check that you need. I'll do anything you need. You name your terms. And it worked way out compared to my friends that are going through nasty divorces where I have one friend that's 4 months into a divorce. He's already his wife served him and already blasted through $200,000 in 4 months on attorney's fees.
Yeah, because they charge by the hour or by the minute, really, don't they?
Well, when you're high net worth, the first thing they do is try to figure out how much money you got, and then they adjust their billing accordingly.
Right.
You know? So
dude, I love that we're getting into all this and not like the real estate side, because I've had a ton of people on that talk about real estate, and I mean, we could obviously talk about that a lot, but I think this is more valuable because this is life lessons. Someone like yourself who's been very, very successful has had ups and downs. I think it's very important for people to realize that no one is going through this life without some bumps and bruises. You said it yourself. Everyone's putting their highlight reel on social media. Like, you have dark days, you have dark times. I have dark days, I have dark times. I have self-doubt. Sure, you have self-doubt. It's just one of those things. And for someone like you getting vulnerable and saying that it happens to you, I think is very, very, very important. And the fact that you can be like great co-parents, I love that, because I have a 17-year-old daughter. Her mother and I are like great friends. Her husband is one of my best friends. We all go out of the country together with my wife. We travel around with our daughter. So it's one of the best things when you can actually do it, but not very many people can. I think, this is just my assumption, because of ego. What do you think?
Maybe ego or just bad advice from people around them. You know, once they make the decision to hire an attorney, it's very hard to undo what happens next, right? Like the attorney's going to take you down a path and say, you need to do this, you need to protect yourself, you got to ask for this. And that's when all the positioning and protective orders and bullshit comes into play. And then naturally, what do? Now you're on the defensive, you have to fight back, and it just becomes a mess. So if you can catch it early enough, I think that's the goal before it gets to that point. I don't know. I know for a lot of men, money is not the main driver in the big picture, but for a lot of women, money is the main driver. Because, you're providing for them a lot of times, and they're scared they're gonna have all their safety taken away from them. So when I sat Shannon down, the first thing I said to her, I said, "What's your number one fear?" And she said, "I always knew that we were going to be okay with you. Like, you just always figured out a way. You just always made it happen, always brought in the money." And I said, "So if I solve that problem for you, you're going to feel okay?" And she goes, "That would take a lot of stress off." I said, "Great, I'll cut the check." And it was never, from that day forward, she relaxed. And it was much more amicable, after that. But I had to ask her, "What's your number one fear?"
Yeah.
Whatever she told me, I was going to solve.
Yeah. Well, you're a problem solver, man. That's what business owners are, right? You put out fires, you solve problems. So,
And my number one thing was kids. I don't want her to use the kids as a tool.
mm-hmm.
Right?
Was that your biggest fear? Was the kids?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Most men, especially if you're higher net worth, or or you're just, I'm walking away from everything: the house, the dog, the cars, whatever. I pack my one car and leave, and that's it. And I have to start over. My biggest fear was she was going to use the kids as a tool to get what she wants, whatever that is. And so I just wanted to get out in front of that and say, look, let's not damage the kids because we're dumbass adults and we put all our trauma onto them. Let's just get right to it. I'll cut the check. Let's go to whatever therapy we need to go to, and kind of, get out in front of this thing before some dumbass attorney gets involved. And thank God she was open to it.
How long were you guys married for?
14 years, together 18.
Wow. Yep. So, yeah, to your point, you were a kid when you guys started dating and whatnot, right? So,
and that's why I felt very comfortable giving her whatever number she wanted.
Yeah, because she helped you build it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
to an extent.
She was a supporter. Yeah, she raised the kids.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's tough. And the fact that you guys are still in a great relationship, that makes me happy to hear, because so many times that is not the case. And the kids are the ones that take the damage for it, generally. Yep. When the parents are just doing this all the time and just fighting and butting heads, the kids are the ones that actually...
Yeah, but now they got a whole new set of challenges because, she's got a new fiance. They're about to get married. I got a new girlfriend. My girlfriend and her are not best buddies by any means. And so, it's like balancing, starting over, starting new, drawing the line in the sand where the old is in the past and the new is in the future. It's like, it's not easy blending the families.
Yeah.
That's my next set of challenges I got to figure out.
But it's worth it, right? So anything that's hard and difficult is usually worth it when you accomplish it. So you mentioned something about the kids, like you finally went deep with them. Elaborate on that and how you did it and what that means.
Well, first, they're always watching, right? Your people are watching. This is why I think success is more of an obligation, and your daily habits mean more than anything, even the outcome that you're trying to chase after. They saw me putting in the work for a straight year, going to therapy, hitting the gym twice a day, going to church multiple times throughout the week, reading my Bible, just not doing any bullshit. Like, I was just like in a zone for a year. Every day, all day, I was on. And when you see somebody starting to light up and become intentional and put in the work, at first you're skeptical, right? It's like natural, right? Even like when I lit up over real estate, my friends were like, "Oh, look at Cody try to become rich. Good luck to you." And then it was like, all right, Cody, you're starting to become a little annoying, right? Like, you're always talking about real estate. Who do it started to transition between like, oh, that's cute, to like almost they are annoyed by your energy. And then you hear the kind of shit talking you behind your back because they're seeing you change over a long period of time. Then all of a sudden you start making money, and then they come back around and they're your biggest cheerleader and think that you're the greatest thing ever, right? That evolution is going to happen no matter what you put your mind to. And so I think it's so vital that your kids see you putting in that work, because it was undeniable that this is who I want to be. This is what I'm willing to do it. This is all the sacrifice I'm going to do. And then they watched me go out and do it. I didn't have to sit them down and say, guys, I'm going to be a better human being. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I just went and did it. So I think that's the first layer, is show them. Through your actions, they're going to get on board. The other thing I started doing is, obviously, I'm making them a priority now. So I'm putting a lot more time and intention into our time together. So every chance I got, I was driving my kids to school. Every chance I got, I was picking them up from cheer, picking them up from one of their activities. I was stealing back minutes, even though I didn't live with them full time any longer. I was spending more time, quality time with them, stealing back minutes in the car. So I used the car time as dad time. And even though my daughter didn't want to hear it a lot of times, she'd be like on her way to school, and I'm sitting there kind of like talking out loud through a concept, just trying to plant the seeds that she can trust me with even her deepest, darkest fears, her secrets, her thoughts. We would talk about, like, what's it like growing up? Being around alcohol for the first time. Having somebody pull out a phone and record you kissing somebody else, right? Like, she's 13. Like, her friends are like, everybody's got a phone. They're starting to, talk about boys a little bit. And it's just like, I got to get out in front of that and start to plant those seeds that we can have these types of conversations. And the best time I could do it was in the car. So that was the first layer. Then finding common things that we could do that are fun. Me going to church, doing all these fun activities, doing their schoolwork with them, all the shit that I should have been doing the whole entire time. I just put in the work and started focusing on that. And it just naturally happened from there. I also was the super badass fun dad. Every time my kids came to my house, it was like 4 days of raging. All rules were out the window. I was like, you want to have a fucking sleepover party with 5 of your friends till 4 a.m? Let's go. You want to be pillow fighting at 4 a.m? Let's do it. Like, I was just trying to have as much fun as humanly possible. And I just wore those kids out. And
there's only so much ice cream that you can eat.
Yeah, but it shifted their perception to like, I got to go to dad's. So like, I can't wait to go to dad's.
I love that. Yeah, because, dude, I'm actually learning some things too. Because for me, at least, I think everyone has their own struggles. For me, my daughter, when she became a teenager, like before that, she was daddy's little girl, right? Attached to my hip. And as she's become a teenager, we're kind of like drifting a little bit, where she wants to be more independent and all that kind of stuff. And I just learned something from what you said. When you're asking questions in the car, it's just all about them. I think a lot of times what I do is I try to give my knowledge and give my wisdom to my daughter. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want it right now. And she's not going to even use it.
She doesn't want your advice. She doesn't want to know about your experience.
Right.
You know what I say? Every time she says anything to me, I'm like, wow, that's such a cool, unique experience you're going through.
Tell me more about it.
Tell me more about it. Yes, exactly. It's just connecting, right? Whether it's good or bad, I'm always like, God, that's got to feel kind of crazy. How do you feel about that? And she'll just share her feelings. And it's just such a simple way for a dad to steal back those minutes in the car. And I'll repeat myself over and over. You know that the second somebody pulls out alcohol or drugs, the second somebody pulls out a phone and dares you to kiss a boy, the second somebody does anything that you get that feeling in your stomach that, ooh, this doesn't feel right, I will be your savior. You fake like you're sick, you go to the restroom, you text me a code word, whatever it is, I won't ask a question, I don't care what time of day it is, I will come and scoop you up and save your ass. Like, we never have to talk about it again. I will be your insurance policy. Dad, I know. God, she'll cut me off. I said it 1,000 times. to the point now where I don't even have to say it anymore. She just knows. This is the protocol. Second shit gets real, I'm texting my dad, and he's coming to get my ass.
I love that. So more kids on the horizon, potentially with the new girlfriend, if you guys... Yeah?
Yeah. So I would like 3 more.
3 more. So 5 kids.
Yeah, why not?
I love it. Start a little army.
Well, as you get older, and especially going through a divorce, those moments where I was sitting in my apartment by myself crying at midnight because my whole life just got shattered and I'm alone, truly alone for the first time in 18 years, you realize what's important. You realize just how important family is and how important your job is as a parent, and how exciting and cool that opportunity is, and how many things I missed out on that I should have done better. And so, I'm at a place now where I have way more ability to be present because my real estate holdings are really good. We haven't even talked about that. But I made a lot of...
We're 45 minutes in. We haven't talked about real estate at all. I love it.
Real estate is just the tool that gave me this ability to live this great life. And so, now that I have the money and I have the cash flow, I think that round 2, I could do a pretty damn good job.
Hell yeah. So let's actually touch on real estate a bit so people don't feel totally cheated out, because you are definitely an OG in the real estate space. So what would you think the best thing is for someone to get started with? They've done nothing in real estate. Yeah. Maybe they've watched some YouTube videos. Where should they start?
Well, I think it depends on if they want to be active or passive. It depends on if they have money or resources or just time, right? When I first started, I only had time. I had no money, but I had a lot of time to focus on something. So wholesaling was a natural gateway for me to get into the business, learn the language of real estate, make a few bucks flipping a house, very low risk, and then kind of learn more as I go about the other strategies that are in the world of residential real estate. Now that I'm older, wiser, and the world is kind of where it is right now, I would say find a community of like-minded people and get plugged in. Community is the key. There's a million people out there teaching real estate. There's a million strategies. There's, all kinds of courses and things you can take or buy. What is very hard to find is a group of like-minded people that you can get plugged into that will support you for your first year. Because as many people come to me and start their real estate journey, more people quit. I would say 15% of everybody, maybe 20% of everybody who's ever come to me to learn how to do real estate has actually done a deal. It's a very low percentage of people that go and actually stay in the real estate business and do deals. And the reason is it's not easy. It's very difficult. It's like learning a new language. There's a tremendous learning curve. You gotta really network a lot. You gotta plant a lot of seeds. You gotta kiss a lot of frogs. It's just a grind in the beginning. It gets significantly easier. Can you get lucky very quickly? Yes. By putting yourself in the game, are you going to get lucky? Yes. It's going to happen. The people that get stuck in education world never make money. The people that jump from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle and they're never focused and putting in the work over a long period of time, they don't make money, right? The people that are negative all the time, they don't make money, right? You put out marketing one time and it doesn't work, and then you become a little bitch, right? And it doesn't work. I can't believe I tried postcards. What a bullshit. It's yeah, dude, you do it one time and you didn't get lucky. Okay. But you can't convince me that postcards don't work. They do work, but you got to put them out from today forever and just never quit putting them out, And so, I would say find that community, find the strategies that are working in the market, right? Right now, things work at different times in the market. Airbnbs, I don't know how many. Do you have a lot of Airbnbs or any Airbnbs?
I had quite a bit, and then I sold them off just because they're too much work, in my opinion.
Okay. Airbnbs were really good there for a while, and they're really shitty for a while.
Right.
And now they're kind of coming back a little bit, but you got to be really selective with them. Out of my 40 Airbnbs, I got like 7 left. I had to unload all the shit ones that sucked.
Right.
And I still have 2 that suck, and I can't get rid of them, So it's like that strategy worked until it did. I made a lot of money in Airbnb until I did. Rehabbing worked until rates went up, and then it stopped working. Now it's kind of working again. The rates are dropping. So I would just say, when you get plugged into that community, find what's working and triple down on it. Put your blinders on and don't stop. Wholesaling will always be the cornerstone of making money quickly in this business.
Low barrier of entry.
Yes. Yeah. Most of my students start with wholesaling.
So finding a community, that's huge because, guys, when you think about anything in life, if you're just surrounding yourself with those people, you're going to become one of them, right? If you surround yourself with a bunch of investors, people that are moving and shaking and doing deals, you're going to become an investor because you're going to pick up on their language. You're going to pick up on their thought processes. You're going to see the deals they're looking at. You're going to start becoming an investor just by association. That is exactly how I became one, guys. I would get in these rooms, every single meetup that I could find in Arizona, I went to, and I just asked questions. That's it. How are you finding deals? How are you funding them? How are you getting them to close? And just learning. And then guess what? A few months later, I started getting deals and closing them and making money. And I was an investor. It was crazy just by getting around them. You actually have something very, very unique. It's the Clever Summit, which is basically a bunch of like-minded people on like a networking event, right? Let's talk a little bit about that. The Clever Summit coming up. I think it's in Miami, right?
Close, yeah. So Clever Summit's an annual event that I've been putting on for the last 11, 12 years. It's happening in Hollywood, Florida, right outside of Miami, September 13th, 14th, and 15th. This summit's going to be our grand finale. It's going to be the biggest event I've ever thrown. We're literally going to throw the biggest party the real estate space has ever seen. We're going to have 2,000 to 3,000 people there. Patrick Bet-David, Ryan Searhant, Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, Vina Jetty, Jen Gottlieb, Dan Fleischman, 20 of the best speakers in the world, like good personal friends of mine, people I look up to, my mentors, people that I've mentored. They're going to all be there, and I'm bringing in Sikik, my favorite DJ. I'm bringing in a famous rapper. I rented a nightclub down the road from the event center. I'm throwing a freaking real estate rave, and we're just going to go crazy for 3 days. I'm telling you right now, the networking in that room is going to change thousands of people's lives. Like, my goal is to have 1,000 people start a business, partner with somebody, raise money from somebody, do a deal with somebody. I'm going to just be pushing that community to just linking arms, connecting, and doing something, And the reason I throw these summits is because the market is up, it's down, it's left, it's right. It's like, it's a mess out there. We don't know what politically is going to happen. But I would bet if I surveyed a room and said, if Donald Trump gets elected, you think the market will be better or worse? You think the real estate market will be better or worse? Most people will say it'll be better, right? Most people connect Donald Trump with the market getting better, and they connect Kamala with the market getting worse. So you got to be prepared for anything. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to talk about what you should do to prepare yourself for the rest of 2024 on how to make money with strategies that are working right now. We're going to talk about what investments we're actually deploying our capital into. The commercial deals that we're focusing on right now are phenomenal deals that anybody that has money, they need to be focusing on these types of commercial deals, these types of residential deals. These are the ones that are going to be making money. So we're going to talk about multiplying your money. We're going to talk about managing your money. I'm bringing in some of the best wealth experts, financial experts that will help people avoid paying taxes and save money on taxes. Nobody wants to give their money to the government, just have them ship it overseas to some war in some other country. So we're going to talk about keeping more of the money that you make. And then the last part of the summit is all about making your money matter. We're going to talk about some of the awesome things that us real estate investors and entrepreneurs are doing with our money to actually make an impact in the world. We're going to teach people how to create a for-purpose business, so that way there's a charitable component built right into the businesses that you create. So that way, when you're making money, you're also making an impact at the same time. And like I said, we're going to party like rock stars. So if you have an opportunity, tickets are cheap. You go to cleversummit.com and tickets are as cheap as $97, as expensive as $1,997, just depending on what level of access you want. Some people want to come backstage, meet the speakers, get on the yacht, do the private networking parties and all that stuff. And some people just, maybe can't afford that. They just want to go. I wanted to make sure that money wasn't an issue, that everybody can afford it. Plus, I negotiated a great room rate with the hotel. It's only $199 a night. They're normally $500 a night at this hotel. So you have no excuses. Get your butt to Summit. Come hang out.
I'll put a link in the description, but there's 3 things I want to touch on with that. First thing, you're going to have to call Dean and be like, hey, Dean, I said I wasn't going to rage, but we got a rager coming up in Florida for 3 days. So I apologize. So yeah, let Dean know that. 2, guys, these events, I've been to them before, not Clever Summit, but I've been to other events where there's speakers and you pick up some nuggets from the speakers, but the most value comes from the networking when there's breaks and you're talking to other people. And like I said, that's how I got into real estate, just asking questions, finding out how people do things, finding out how people's brains work. And you can tell who the successful people are in the room. Go to them. Successful people want to actually share what makes them successful. So just ask questions. So much value comes from that. And the third thing is, I might have to come speak at the next Clever Summit. I'm just throwing it out there for next year because that's all I do, man.
I would love to have you, dude. It's just, this is the grand finale. I'm retiring this event.
It's over after this one.
I'm done. I will bow off stage and be done with my journey as a real estate educator.
You're going out with a bang then.
This is the last time people can come and see me speak, the last time that they can come to one of my events. That's why I'll spend $1.5 million to throw this event.
Wow.
We're going all out.
Yeah, most people don't realize that these events, they're not a moneymaker. Like
my events are a moneymaker.
Well, after the event, right? Different things.
Maybe I might make. Maybe this one's pretty expensive because I stepped up. I'm probably about $300,000 or $400,000 over what I spent at the last event. My last event, I probably spent $1.3 million, $1.2 million, and I made $8 or $9 million from the event.
Just from ticket sales?
No, from the whole event. Ticket sales, I probably made. Ticket sales and sponsorships, I'll get close to breaking even on the front end. So, this time I'll probably, just because I stepped it up by like $300,000 or $400,000, will probably not break even on the front end. But every one of my events makes money.
That's what I mean is
I don't do shit that doesn't make money.
On the front end, that's what I mean is like you don't make money off the ticket sales. You make money off the people at the event, maybe upsells and different things like that are going on there. So
yeah,
and the different connections that you make. So, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. This has been the fastest hour ever. I'm just so excited that we actually touched on so many different personal things and life lessons and things that you've been through, and instead of just the real estate, because real estate, like you said, it's the tool, it's the vehicle that's gotten you to be able to have your time back. That's the biggest thing. If you didn't have real estate, you didn't have all this cash flow from your assets, you couldn't spend all the time you spend with your kids right now, right? So I love it, man, and it's been a pleasure. One thing I want to leave the people with, if you could go back in time, maybe to 18-year-old Cody, what would you tell him? What would be your biggest bit of advice for 18-year-old you?
Well, that's always a funny one. A lot, when I think about going back and giving myself advice, I would say, probably go to therapy and heal your shit so that way you can be more powerful. That would be my logical advice that I would tell myself. But I wouldn't change a thing. It's not like I would go back and be like, hey, do this different or something like that. Every move I made, every failure I experienced, the goods, the bad, and everything in between was designed to get me to this place. And I love who I am right now. I am in such alignment on all levels. And it took all of that to get me here. And so I feel like my next 30 to 40 years, as long as I'm healthy, God willing, are going to be the best years of my life. and they couldn't have been possible if I didn't put in that life up to this point. And so, just don't be scared to ask for help and to go upstream and to put in that therapy and, maybe look at somatic release breath work, look at EMDR. Talk therapy kind of sucks. Like, that shit didn't really work for me. Like, didn't move the needle. But there are experiential things out there like somatic release breath work, like ayahuasca, like, EMDR, that will move the needle in a major way for you and let you let go of all that bullshit. And, ultimately, we all just want to be happy, connected, healthy, financially okay, safe. And thank God we live in America, because we can become all those things.
Absolutely. And you can get ripped at the same time. Do you have abs? Did you get abs?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I love it.
Come on.
Dude,
Come on.
I've had abs since 7th grade. I remember dude.
I've had abs since 7th grade. Hey, you're one of the lucky ones, motherfucker. Nobody else naturally has abs in the 7th grade, but
I shit you not, dude. Here's how it happened. I knew about this pool party in 7th grade, and I had one of those little ab rollers, right? And I knew about the party like 2 months in advance. So I'm like, I'm going to get abs for this party. I was doing sit-ups on this thing like every night, every morning. And I had abs in 7th grade. They've been there since, man. It's crazy.
Oh, that's amazing. I in other podcasts, I've said this stat. We can end with this. It's this, I want to be the guy that's at this awesome intersection between being rich and being like insanely healthy. And there's some guys that naturally have abs, right? They're just low body fat, because you have to have low body fat to have abs. That's the whole, when I use abs as an example, it's not like I'm saying go get abs because you'll be healthy. I'm just saying you have to do a lot of healthy shit to get abs. Right. And so that intersection between ripped and rich is so freaking rare, because one in I thought it was 1 in 10, but it's like 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 Americans are considered millionaires, which is astonishingly low. Like, I thought it would be like 1 in 30 or 1 in 50. No, it's 1 in 8, something like that. How many people do you think have abs?
1 in 4,000?
1 in 27,000.
Wow.
There are so many more millionaires.
Wow.
Abs. So it's like, oh shit, when I heard that, I was like, damn, I want to be that intersection of a millionaire or multi-millionaire and healthy and have abs.
Wow.
So let's make that a goal, not just be the fat slob at with a Rolex on at the pool that your kids don't respect, that, you're embarrassed to take your shirt off. Let's be the 7th grade Devin with the ab crunch. You're just going crazy for the pool party and putting in that work.
Dude, I'll never forget the party. It was Sasha Ascari. That was her name. It was her pool party. She lived up on like 32nd and Lincoln, like right in Paradise Valley. So it was like going to be a big pool party. I was like, I'm going to get jacked for this pool party. It happened, and they've stayed around ever since. It's incredible.
And so was it like a movie, like slow motion? You're taking your shirt off, walking by the pool like a boss.
From what in my head, I think that's exactly what happened. I was like lathering them up with Keels and.
Well, good for you,
man.
Dude. Keep those bad boys. You're gonna need them when you're old, man. That core strength is so vital.
Yeah, I'll be 40 in March, so it's creeping up on me. Creeping up.
I'm 46, and on Friday I had my first colonoscopy, so that was great.
Oh,
yeah.